Hey guys, how's it going? I'm about to beat Flandre and Luna Knights. Now, how did I get this far? Get this. Lost Holy Sword, most overpowered weapon in the game. And now all I have to do is beat Nitori first.
A few moments later.
While that took forever, let's see what happens next.
Scariest twist of all time.
Well, that happened. This is gonna take longer than I thought.
Later.
So after beating Flandre with no stops for healing, I did it. I beat Luna Knights. It truly was a fun ride. Wait a sec, what does that say? The White Shrine Gate has been unlocked. Hold up, that could mean... Who would have guessed that Cherno would be in this game? The fight against her is hard at first, but it gets fun once you get a hang of it. And after that fight with Cherno, I made it to the true final boss of the game, Reimu. Yeah, this is gonna take a while.
Much later.
So after a long, intense battle where Reimu pulls a PC-98 on me... No, I'm being serious. Her final form pays an homage to Highly Responsive to Prayers, the first ever Touhou game. It caught me off guard. That is some incredible fan service. And I finally managed to beat the game. It was really fun. And I managed to unlock Boss Rush. But you know, I wonder... I think I know what I might do with this. This is the only jar that I have.
That's disgusting.
Let's talk about a Figma figure. Now you may be asking yourself, why are we looking at a Figma figure? What is this, Jabe the Hong? Well, why not talk about the Figma Sakuya Izayoi? After all, there are only 2 other videos on YouTube that talk about her, so why not make this the 3rd? The painting and sculpting on this figure is not that bad. It captures the look of the maid. The dress is painted in a nice shade of dark navy blue and white, but I would have preferred it if it was lighter. However, the dress itself is actually made out of a solid piece. It would have been nice if it was made out of a more flexible material. And can we get a pantsuit shot? It's kinda plain. The painting is clean as it continues onward onto the chest. Although if I had to make a complaint, it'd be the lack of detail on her braids and how the painting on the bows kinda bleeds onto it. And let's take a look at the chest itself. Well, would you look at that? I wouldn't call those pads. At least she isn't a cutting board. One thing I do take issue with are the elbow joints of the figure. With the joints sticking out like that, it doesn't make the arm look natural or smooth. The face looks very nice as if it was printed on there. But I would prefer her having red eyes like she does in embodiment of Skull Devil. Unfortunately, none of her alternate faces come with that. As for the articulation of the figure, her head can move up and down, side to side, and can tilt. At her legs, her thigh can produce a swivel, can bend her knee, and can bend her foot. Her waist can produce somewhat of a swivel. Her arm is another story. So her hands can move up and down and can rotate at the base. She has a bend at her elbow and has a ball joint in her shoulder. However, moving the joints of this figure can lead to a serious problem because the joint on her left arm is different from the one on her right. Let me tell you a story of unforeseen tragedy. So when I first obtained this figure, everything was fine. She could pose properly and all of her accessories were there. But while I was posing her to get a few photos, the peg at her shoulder joint broke off. Kaisen would like to have a word with you. Now something similar happened to me before when I bought a Figma Hatsune Miku. However, little did I knew that this was actually a bootleg figure as the joints would break off or untab. But the Figma figure I got of Sakuya was authentic. I didn't want to give up on her. You could say that my devotion to her was bloody. Like and subscribe if you get the reference. Knowing what had to be done, I had to look for Figma parts online. So I went on to Good Smell Company's website and they just so happened to have the Figma parts I needed. You'd think the story would end there. Well, tough luck, it turns out they weren't selling it on their website anymore. Fortunately, someone on eBay was selling figure parts and they had just the one I needed. And although I did get the figure part, it wasn't the color I wanted, which is why it's not the same color as the one on the other arm. But this leads me to the next problem I encountered. removing and replacing the joint. Now, when it comes to replacing a part on a figure, you usually want to use a hairdryer. You get the piece that you need, use the hairdryer to warm up the plastic, and then place it back into the figure. And the figure is good as new. But when I used the hairdryer on the Figma figure, this came at a cost. Either because I set it up too high or was too close to the figure, the paint on one of the bows melted off the plastic. And because of the heat, the plastic at her sleeve started to tear. So I had to super glue it back in place. This has never happened to me before. I'm not too familiar with how Figmas are structured or made, and I don't know how durable the figures are when it comes to pressure. So when you get this figure, please be careful with it. If anything breaks, make sure you have some spare parts on you, and make sure you don't heat up the figure too much, otherwise the paint will fall off. So with that out the way, let's see what Sakuya comes with. For the accessory, she comes with 2 extra faces. In addition to her default smile face, she has a closed-eyed smile and an angry glare. She comes with multiple hands. She comes with a pair of open hands, fists, grabbing hands, and these special hands. These allow her to hold on to these small knives, which I don't like using. They're too small, so they might get lost, and they're really difficult to put on the hands. And when I was trying to put them on the hands, it felt as though I might break them. She comes with this holding hand that allows her to hold the included mop, but because of how thin it is, I don't like using it. It might snap. She also comes with a hand with a molded in stopwatch, which despite how small it is really nicely painted. She comes with a knife with a green hilt, which I guess is supposed to recreate her artwork from Scarlet Weather Rhapsody, I'm not sure. To hold all the accessories, the figure comes with the signature Figma sandwich bag. She comes with a sheet of plastic stickers that are supposed to convey emotion, but I don't like using them as I want to keep it intact. On the back, there are instructions on how to hold the knives. You're supposed to remove the leg in order to house the larger knife, which is hard to do when the leg is still attached. Yeah, it would have worked better if they made the skirt flexible or have whatever's holding the knife a little lower on the leg. Finally, she comes with a Figma stand that has Figma molded onto the base. To attach her on the base, there's a hole on her back that allows you to plug her in. When I first got the figure, she was, well, how do I say it?
You're shorter than I expected.
She's 5 inches or 12.7 centimeters tall. Here she is next to an Amber Collection Velociraptor. Here she is next to the NECA Tokyo SOS Godzilla. And for the laughs, jokes, and for the memes, here she is next to the super action statues of the world. They go great together. It has always been my dream to have these two. And despite my problems with this figure, I highly recommend it. She goes great with JoJo characters, especially if you have the world or Dio on hand. But do keep in mind on what I said about the joints and the paint. Be very careful when it comes to posing her. Don't be too rough. And make sure you have a few spare parts on you. And do be careful when applying heat to the figure, otherwise the paint might fall off. After all, you might regret doing that when you remember how much you paid for it. And that concludes this video. Thanks for watching. Make sure you guys like and subscribe, and make sure you also share this with other people so they may also like and subscribe. You may never know what I might upload, and whenever that might be, I'll see you guys in the next one.